The Dark Ages, the secretive first chapter, is not afraid of demons, but they are afraid of witnesses. On the surface, they are everything the Imperium wants its Space Marine to be. The First Legion, the prototype. Grim, hooded knights in green, marching in perfect formation. Their reputation whispered with respect across millions of words. In Imperial propaganda, their gold standards of loyalty. Reliable, disciplined, unquestionable. Other governors breathe easier when the Dark Angel strike force arrives. If you only listen to the official stories, you think they have nothing to hide. But the official stories are written as much by omission as by truth. The Dark Angel's darkest secrets is not that they worship chaos or bear the 8-pointed star. They cling desperately to the idea that they never openly turned traitor. Their great sin is something much more human and much more dangerous to the Imperial's myth. The First Legion did not simply endure betrayal, it fractured from within. It turned on itself, it devoured itself, and it did all of that while still technically being loyal. And that's the horror. This isn't a clean case of good guys and bad guys. This is a legion that tore itself apart over pride, fear, and hurt feelings that the Imperial doesn't want them to exist. And that's why the chapter is now wrapped in oaths of silence and labyrinths of secrecy. And that's why they vanish from war zones with no explanation. And that's why people who see too much around them, they tend not to be seen again. The Dark Angels are not just a Space Marine chapter. They are a containment system built around one catastrophic moment in their past, the death of their homeworld Caliban, and the scattering of their own brothers into the warp as they've fallen. Everything they do now, every sudden deployment, every suspiciously targeted crusade, revolves around making sure the truth of that day never becomes clear enough to threaten the Imperium illusions of control. To see how the First Legion became this paranoid, secretive cult of jailers, we have to go back before the heresy, before the rock, before the whispers of the fallen. We have to go back to a hunter-knight world called Caliban, and to two men who loved each other and their legion, enough to destroy everything. So make sure you stick to the very end and make sure to subscribe. This will help me and the channel grow a lot. So now let's just begin. Caliban was a world trapped in a permanent twilight, his forest clothing with colossal, twisted monsters that made human life a constant siege. Humanity survived in heavily fortified monasteries, ruled by knightly orders that rode into the black woods to slay the beast. So kinda like a fairy tale of nightmare of ruined towers, cursed forests, and a forgotten technology. Among those knights was Luther. Not a demigod, not a primarch, just a man, charismatic, brave, deeply human, and widely loved. When a feral child was found in the forest, a boy who moved through the shadows like a predator, it was Luther who took him in. The boy grew into the Lionel L. Johnson, a tactical prodigy and a little warrior. Luther taught Lion how to speak, how to lead, how to interact with people instead of just stalking them. The Lion taught Luther how to win wars no one else thought was winnable. Together, they unite Caliban's knightly order and drove back the monsters that had terrorized their world for generations. So far so good, right? For a time, their story could have ended in there. Two heroes who saved their home, but then the Emperor arrives, again. His fleet blazed into the sky and revealed the truth. The Lion was one of his lost primarch, forged from his own gene craft. Overnight, the local legends of Caliban became part of galactic saga. Caliban's best warrior were remade as Space Marines of the First Legion. The Lion, suddenly, was not just a leader, but a son of the Emperor. And what about Luther? Luther went from being the man who everyone followed to the man standing one step behind the Primarch. When the Great Crusade called, the Lion took the elite of the Legion to the stars, winning glorious victories in the Emperor's name. Luther and many of the Calibanite recruits were sent back home with honorable duties. Guard Caliban, train new aspirants, maintain order. On paper, it was an important work. In reality, it felt like an exile. Imagine raising someone from the childhood, right? Teaching him how to be a leader, and then watching him live to become a legend in a wider world that no longer has a place for you. On Caliban, Resentment simmered. Imperial officials and missionaries arrived and began to rewrite customs, laws, and even history. The Calibanites heard whispers of atrocities committed in the name of the compliance, or words burned because they didn't fit neatly into the Imperium plan. The Imperium that Luther had bled to join did not look as heroic from the ground, and a question grew in his head. Did we fight for this? Then the galaxy burned. The Horus Heresy shattered the Great Crusade, and the warp howled across the stars. Cut off and desperate, the Lion brought his forces back to Caliban, hoping to find a secure base and loyal brothers waiting for him. But what he found instead was a homeworld preparing to turn his guns on him. Luther and many of the Calibanite Dark Angels had convinced themselves they were saving their world. They saw an Imperium going to madness and believed Caliban would be sacrificed as just another piece on the board. So Dark Angels ships fired on Dark Angels ships. Fortress monasteries that had sworn eternal brotherhood now rained death on their own. At the heart of this civil war, in the ruins of the Huns' great fortress, the Lion confronted Luther. Not in some hypothetical future, but then and there, during the fall of Caliban. Two men who had once been mentor and student, brothers in all but blood, now stood on the opposite sides, and their duel has been told and retold and twisted by time to time. Some accounts say Luther, swollen with warp-granted power, struck the Lion down in a moment of beaten triumph. Others suggest that the Lion hesitated, unable to kill the man who raised him, and that moment of mercy doomed them both. Whether the exact truth, we don't know, and the outcome was clear. The Lion was gravely wounded, removed from the war. His body eventually entombed in stasis deep within what would become the Rock. Luther, overwhelmed by what he had done and abandoned by the powers that he had worshipped into him, was captured by the surviving Dark Angels, and then Caliban itself died. Warp storms and orbital bombardment tore the planet apart. Those Dark Angels who had sided with Luther were dragged into the warp, scattered through time and space. Some would reappear millennia later in the 31st millennium. Some emerge in the forgotten corners of reality. History will come to know them as the Fallen. The Dark Angels will come to know them as both a shame and an opportunity, because every Fallen is a witness of what really happened. From the shattered Caliban, one vast fragment survived. The Dark Angels howled it out and fortified it, and turned it into the Dead Fortress Monastery. The galaxy knows it as the Rock, a drifting moon-sized bastion bristling with guns and cathedrals. But beneath the Gothic towers and the gun batteries, the truth is simple. The Rock is Caliban's corpse, reworked into a monument, a reliquary, and of course, a prison. Deep in his hidden vault lie the two figures at the heart of the Legion's trauma. The Lion, heavily wounded in the final duel with Luther, was placed in a secret stasis entombed in the deepest chambers. And then Luther, the man who raised him and then led the rebellion against him, was not executed. Instead, he was locked in a private cell, guarded around the clock, questioned, picked over like a living crime scene, and then kept alive. The Dark Angels didn't bury their past. They chained it up in the basement. Veterans, surgeons, and those inducted to certain specialties formations learn more. The hero of the Fallen, Traitor Dark Angels scattered across the galaxy, whose capture is a priority above almost anything else. The Deathwing and the Ravenwing, the elite Bone White and the Jet Black companies, are inducted deeper still. They are told a version of the Caliban's fall, and given a sacred mission: hunt the Fallen at any cost, in absolute secrecy. At the pinnacle sits the Inner Circle: chapter master, company masters, senior chaplains, and librarians. They know that the Rock is Caliban. They know who Luther is. They know almost the rough shape of what happened during the fall. They've heard testimonies of the fallen dropped back to chains. They are the custodians of the Legion's secret history, and their primary job is to make sure the history never becomes known. So basically, the Dark Angels wage two types of wars. One is public, The answer distress calls, fight scenes, and appear in campaign logs like any other chapters. The other is hidden, a relentless 10,000-year hunt for the scattered brothers. Their fleets divert subtly to unimportant systems. They commit absurd resources to chase down a single rumor of a hooded warrior in an ancient green plate. They abandon wars the moment the specified objective is secured. Every fallen carries a fragment of the story of Caliban. Some of them are broken and repentant, begging for forgiveness that never truly be granted. Some are defiant, insisting they were the ones who stayed loyal to the people of Caliban, while the lion abandoned them for an imperium that saw them as expendable resources. Some blame Luther, some blame the lion. Some claim the whole legion was manipulated by the powers beyond their comprehension. And here, the inner circle writes everything down. They collect confessions, memories, hallucination, and half-truths. And then, deep within the rock, Lionel Johnson finally woke. Imagine opening your eyes after 10,000 years and stepping into a galaxy divided by a screaming warp scar. Half of your brothers are dead, corrupted, or missing, and the Imperium you fought for is now a decaying theocracy that worships your father as a god. And your own sons? Your own legion has become a secretive, guilt-ridden cult hunting its own scattered brothers in the shadows. The Lion returned to find not just a broken galaxy, but a chapter whose identity revolves around the day he and Luther destroyed their homeworld. And what about Luther? After millennia in a hidden cell beneath the rock, Luther is no longer there. He has escaped, or some say he's been released. The one man who remembers, in every single detail, every word of the final argument on Caliban is now loose somewhere in a galaxy on fire. The Imperium sees a dangerous heretic on the run. The Dark Angels see a walking, talking indictment waiting for happen. Across the stars, the fallen still endure. Some have sold their soul completely to chaos. Some hide their origins, trying to carve out some kind of twisted redemption. Some have become local myths, ageless warriors in battered green armor, protecting or tormenting worlds that barely know what a space marine is. Each one carries a story about what happened between the Lion, Luther, and Caliban. So the Dark Angels now walk a galaxy where their Primarch is awake, their greatest heretic is free, and their sins are no longer safely buried in the past. In the end, that's what makes the Dark Angels so unsettling. It isn't that they are secretly chaos worshippers or that they are one day away from turning traitors. It's that they are already living with a truth the rest of the Imperium cannot afford to acknowledge. For 10,000 years, they tried to solve their problem with silence. Every fallen captured, every confession extracted, every inconvenient detail locked away in the vaults beneath the rocks. They don't just hunt their brothers. They hunt any version of the past that doesn't line up with the story they've chosen to believe. And now, working between those layers of lies and half-truth, is the Lion himself. The one person with the authority to either bless the narrative or tear it down. Somewhere out there, Luther is moving through the same broken galaxy, carrying his own memory of the last night of Caliban. Between him, the Fallen, and the Inner Circle, you don't just have a mystery. You have a three-way war over what the past actually was. And when the Dark Angels make planetfall, when they arrive unannounced in the middle of someone else's war, that's what they're really fighting for. Not territory or relics, but the control of their own story. In the endless night of the 31st millennium, the Imperium survives in a single fragile lie. That its angels never turn their blades on each other. The Dark Angels know that isn't true, and as long as even one fallen is still out there, somewhere in the dark, the lie is in danger of finally being exposed. But I have a question for you now. When the Lion and Luther finally meet again, whose truth do you think the galaxy will believe? Answer me this in the comment. And as always, Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.